is a full moon in Pisces. It does not look like you really get the chance to escape much of anything. In fact, it looks like something, even if it's emotional, that we're really serious about and have to deal with. If you're excited to dive into what exactly we can expect from this full moon in Pisces on August 30th, make sure that you like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell so that you are always up to date with what the stars have in store for you. If you're new here, hi, I'm Maren. I make astrology videos and also music, so do stream my songs if you're into that kind of music. If you want to learn from me or see any of my daily or weekly horoscopes, all my courses are linked below at PISCES, as well as my readings if you want a one-on-one discussion with me about your chart. Firstly, we're going to get into the overall vibe of this full moon, then we will get into what it means exactly for you based on your rising sign. And if you have not already seen your monthly forecast for your rising sign coming up in September, there will be videos coming out for you that show you what you're going to be having for the month ahead, which I do every month. So this full moon in Pisces is happening on August 30th, 2023 at 6:35 p.m. Pacific. And yes, I did forget to mention it in all my August forecasts because I'm so used to doing two. Like one new moon, one full moon a month, it totally blinked my mind, so I'm sorry about that, but we're gonna run through what it means for your sign in this video. It is happening with the sun at 7 degrees of Virgo and the moon at 7 degrees of Pisces because the sun and moon are always opposite during full moons. This is happening with the sun, therefore, in the first decan or the first third of Virgo, which I know a little bit about because my sun is also in this part of the sky. And it's associated with the 8 of Pentacles tarot card, and it's known as the Lord of Prudence because when you look at this card, it's an apprentice slowly working on building something down to the details. And it really represents how getting to the top and getting recognition is often more about the work itself than it is about your ego or your identity. So it's a very humble servant, but definitely very diligent worker energy. There's a care, there's a precision, there's a even monotony to this of just slowly undergoing the grind. It's not a fast process, and it shows something that you're really eager to climb the ladder towards, but aren't necessarily too firm about getting egoic credit for. But if this is an inverted card or a more challenging placement in the way that this full moon kind of is, it shows hastiness, being careless, or the possibility of overlooking details. This means that in the opposite part of the zodiac, the moon is in the first decan of Pisces. It is associated with the 8 of Cups tarot card, also known as the Lord of Abandoned Success. And I happen to pull this card a lot. This is one of like my cards, so to speak. And it often represents not wanting any more of the worldly pleasures. Being like, I have had enough of this shit. I am turning inward to find what really matters. And this card is ruled by Saturn. I forgot to mention, but the Virgo decan is ruled by the sun. So having the sun there is actually a little bit strong. It adds a little bit of dignity there if you have the sun there. But this first third of Pisces, even though Pisces is ruled by Jupiter, is ruled by Saturn, which shows boundaries, structure, or hardship as part of what is being explored here. It's kind of a rocky energy. It's not necessarily the most dreamy kind of, it's a rockier part of Pisces, I would say, not negative and not challenging, but it is a more sober, serious part of Pisces. So when this card is inverted, or like we're going to talk about here, it's a more challenging alignment. This shows going within, but not being able to leave the external environment. So you can't dip out, you can't run away from your problems. Being within them here and now, and whatever physical BS is going on in the world is necessary in order to really fully learn the lesson here. So the fact that this decan is ruled by Saturn is very, very on point because this full moon is conjunct Saturn, meaning that the moon is pretty exactly right on Saturn within a few degrees, meaning that Saturn qualities of maturity, of structure, of hardship, of cold, hard punishment are very, very relevant for this full moon. This is not showing necessarily that there is conflict in an aggressive way, but it is showing that there is hardship in being an adult or being mature around this. So it pretty much impeccably describes this turning away from the pleasures of the world kind of energy, but it also adds to it that you can't leave the world. You just have to see what's positive or what's easy kind of believe and be present in the more challenging energy that means you have to deal with your shit here and now. You cannot escape it. Even if you're trying to go inward, you cannot escape what is going on in front of you. So there's this firmness, there's this sobriety, and If anything, this is not the Pisces full moon showing escapism or an ayahuasca retreat or like a beautiful like acid trip. This is much, much more showing that you're like at an event, you're at a party, you're emotional, you're done with these people, you don't want this world anymore, but you cannot leave and you have to come to terms with that amidst all the BS. Thankfully, the ruler of this full moon is Jupiter in a pretty good condition. Jupiter rules Pisces, so it's showing that the overarching rulership of this full moon is benevolent, especially because Jupiter will be squaring Venus. Whenever Venus and Jupiter are in any aspect, it shows abundance that is multiplied or an optimistic spirit that kind of abounds everywhere. So even though this particular full moon is really serious, it is a big, sober, kind of like unescapable energy. The overall background of this is not that bad. It's not that serious. It's not going to be that rough. That being said, Venus retrograde is not really a part of this full moon. Venus is not making any aspects to other planets really, besides Jupiter. Venus is not making any challenging aspects at all. So any of the Venus retrograde stuff going on with you is not relevant for this full moon. So flat out, it's not really relevant. However, Venus is conjunct Juno, Juno indicating partnership or strong union. So it looks like someone is by your side during this, someone who's a strong relationship, even if the topics are not about them that this drama is undergoing about. Mercury retrograde is happening as well during this. And thankfully, Mercury is retrograde in its home sign and also the sign of its exaltation. So even though Mercury retrograde shows communication issues or slowing down, it's retrograde in literally the best sign possible, showing that any lessons, any difficulty, any kind of delays, it's actually for the best, or you're seeing a positive bright side about it, and there's assistance and resources in the ability to grapple with any of the difficulties and scheduling going on. Mercury is also going to be trine Jupiter, which is the best possible aspect that a planet can have, having a trine to Jupiter essentially. So it actually shows that I don't think communication issues are going to be the main topic here. It does not look like delays, mishaps, or scheduling, issues are really a part of this. It's also going to be trine Pluto, which is positive. I don't see any really major communication issues. This is like the easiest Mercury retrograde ever, and I'm sure some people are going to be like, I'm going through hell. It's probably something else in your chart. This Mercury in Virgo is not tightly opposite Neptune, so I don't think that it's going to show huge confusion. Again, I don't think communication is the issue here. But interestingly enough, Mercury is conjunct Pallas in Virgo. Pallas shows feminine knowledge or more intuitive knowledge like creativity or things that are not like linear math kind of things. So I think that what could be spoken about or the issue or communicated about here could be something around thoughts, feelings, like girl shit. It looks like girl shit is what's being talked about here, and you're over it, but you can't leave. And I mean, most of you are going to be girls anyway, so with girls and the gays are who watches these videos. The sun in Virgo finally is also conjunct Lilith. Lilith is crazy bitch asteroid. Not in a bad way necessarily. It can be empowered, standing up for whatever bitch. I have Lilith on my midheaven. I'm no way crazy or unstable. I'm kind of unemotional, but like, I give kind of crazy energy to like the viewer, I guess you could say, even if I'm very, very grounded and stable. With that being said, the sun conjunct Lilith definitely highlights crazy bitch energy. Whether that's you being the crazy bitch, someone else being the crazy bitch, I think it's more the other person because the moon is generally us kind of in this energy. And the moon is conjunct Saturn, showing that someone else is being a crazy bitch, girl shit, girl fighting, whatever, and you're like, I have to deal with this. I have to be the bigger person. I have to wall up. I have to draw a boundary, but I can't leave the situation right now. So it looks like we're having to stay in a situation where we cannot leave the room, we cannot leave the situation, and there's a crazy bitch right now causing hell for us. We have to uphold our own energetic boundaries rather than getting to leave the physical circumstances at hand. And there's not an escape. We're not escaping in a Pisces way. We are having compassion and understanding, but staying within ourselves. And so this is a challenging full moon, but not a dramatic one, I would say. That it looks uncomfortable, but it doesn't look bad. So if you have any thoughts around this full moon, do let me know in the comments below before we get into the rising signs and what they can expect. So if you're a Pisces rising, it's in your first house of self. You are drawing a boundary because a relationship is probably acting kind of crazy right now, and you're having to put a wall up and definitely be the bigger person. If you are an Aries rising, this is in your 12th house of mental health or addictions. So you're probably deciding to head on, go cold turkey with something that you depended on. If you're a Taurus rising, it's in your 11th house of networking and friends. You might have to draw a wall or create some kind of structure to remove yourself from a social situation with people or a network of people where you can't really leave the actual organization, but you have to put boundaries up and requirements up. If you're a Gemini rising, this is in your 10th house of career. It looks like you're dealing with chaos in your career that you have to be the bigger, mature person around. If you are a Cancer rising, this is in your 9th house of foreign travel or higher education, showing that you might have to deal with blockages, boundaries, or be the bigger person in terms of something with education or with travel. If you're a Leo rising, it's in your 8th house of finances and investments. So you're probably running into roadblocks around something monetary that you just have to deal with. If you're a Virgo rising, this is in your 7th house of relationships. So it looks like there's something with your partner where they're deciding to put a wall up, put a boundary up, where you're more of the aggressor or the engager. If you are a Libra rising, this is in your 6th house of physical health or coworkers. Looks like you're having to be really honest with yourself about what you need physically and uphold that, or you're having to draw some kind of an energetic boundary with coworkers. If you are a Scorpio rising, it's in your 5th house of creativity or dating. Looks like you're having to be really regimented and mature around your creative process, or you're having to have some requirements about how you interact with a partner. If you are a Sagittarius rising, it's in your 4th house of family or home. So there might be something where you have to make it really clear that there's a requirement to live with you or some kind of a separation with your family in the house. If you're a Capricorn rising, it's in your 3rd house of day-to-day routine, communication, or writing projects. Looks like you're having to dedicate yourself to the honest truth about something that you're working on or writing, or having to be really regimented around your routine because it needs to be upheld. And finally, if you are an Aquarius rising, it's in your 2nd house of income or money. So there might be something where you have to be honest and more conservative about finances and make sure that you're sticking to a budget. Okay, popping in here with the Oracle deck card for this Pisces full moon because these were downstairs and I filmed upstairs, and yeah, I'm just filming this right after and popping this in. So the Oracle deck card that we have for guidance for this full moon is Marine Life, Richness. Fertility is yours. Your wishes will be granted. There is more than one way to find a solution to a problem. Adapt to the new. So with this like richness energy, interestingly enough, it looks like there might be a really big option for you that's like really abundant, but you have to draw a boundary in order to get it, and you can't leave the situation, but like there are rewards on the other side basically. You just have to stick through this like rough patch with annoying bitches. If you enjoy this or you have any thoughts and comments with this full moon, do let me know in the comments below. I'm looking forward to it. Looks like we're gonna have some people not able to escape, but that need to draw boundaries. I feel like this is needed. So yeah, hope this one treats you well, and I will see you in the next one.